Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. I'm your host, Sean Big Papa Williams, and as you can see, I have no Learjet with me. It's been a crazy week for the Learjet. He'll still be playing this week and would love to have done the show, but we just couldn't sync up this week. So I'm getting you out a quick morning show for Saturday's race for the Pocono Organics 325 from Pocono Raceway. Now, the original forecast had all races for today being rained out. However, the forecast has improved slightly, and it looks like we should be able to get the NASCAR doubleheader in. First, we've got Trucks up this morning, followed by Cup 1. Then we have Xfinity, followed by Cup 2 tomorrow. Stages for today's race are at lap 25, lap 77, then they'll go the final 53 laps all the way to the finish. Then for Sunday's race, the top 20 finishers will be inverted, meaning the person that finishes first will start 20th, and stages will be at laps 35, lap 85, and then the final 55 laps will decide the winner. Today's race, however, kids, is all about guesswork, as the usual Pocono procedure is just during first practice to take your car out and work on each turn individually. Keep in mind, the drivers don't have the ability to practice, so they can't do things like set their cars up for each of the different turns at this track. I think this is going to spell disaster this week, and it's going to be sketchy to play today. However, it's going to give us the best information possible that we've had since the COVID break for our race tomorrow. The key here is that you want to study today's race, figure out what cars had bad luck, what cars are going to run good, and finally you'll have an official on-track data set that we can extrapolate from for tomorrow's race. But today, guys, is guesswork, like we've been saying from the get-go. Just wanted to let you know that that's my approach to this week. So with that said, let's get into this week's. The first thing that we need to look at when determining what our strategy is going to be for today's race is Christopher Bell. He's the most expensive driver at $11,100, and he's starting 36th. This play will decide the direction of your lineups and the direction that you're going for strategy. Basically, if you're going to shell this kind of money to pay up for Bell, you need him to gain at least 15 plus place differential points, and then you need other people that are also capable of 15 plus place differential to not have quite the day they need. It's an interesting play. It's an interesting conundrum. I understand how you could go either direction. Man, I haven't made my mind up yet if I'm playing Bell today. I like the place differential goodness, but it's a little bit scary, and this isn't one of his best tracks if you look back at his Xfinity history. But once you get your Christopher Bell conundrum out of the way, the next conundrum that you have to deal with is that of Kyle Rowdy Busch at $9,300 this week. Now, stop me, guys, if you've heard this before, but since you're watching this video, you can't really stop me. He flat out dominates this track, but I feel like I've said this before. In his last 5 races, he has finishes of first place, third, first, and ninth. He has also led 274 laps in those 5 races. But guys, I think I'm fading Rowdy again. Look, he's an expert at getting his car dialed in. But remember how I was just talking about how they go out traditionally and run a corner, bring the car in, run another corner, bring the car in, and then try to run all 3 of them together and make sure that the car is set up good enough to keep on the track. He doesn't have that process. And I think Kyle Rowdy Busch is an expert at dialing in his car through those practices and process. He just doesn't have that ability to dial in his car, and we've seen the performances because of that, and his salary keeps dropping. It's $9,300. Now, guys, I say this all the time. I've been known to be wrong from time to time, and I could be wrong on this one. But the more times you keep playing Rowdy Busch, at least from personal experience, the more times I light money on fire. This is just not the same Rowdy Busch that we are used to. This is not the same kind of dominant guy. Now, if he goes out and dominates this race like he has in the past, and I don't play him or you don't play him, you're probably not going to have the winning lineup. But man, this is not the Rowdy we are used to. Another guy that I think you need to look at this week is Kevin Harvick at $10,100. In his last 6 races here, he has finishes of second, fourth, 22nd, and 6th. He's also led chunks of laps here basically in almost every race. Harvick is another one of the guys that is solid here at the track, and the bonus on Harvick is what we've seen with these no practices, he's one of the better cars at being able to adjust on the fly and get you a winning style car, or a car that won't really mess you up. But with how high he's starting, you don't have a lot of room for error here, and at 10,100 you really need him to be a dominator, but it's all guesswork. We don't know. The next two good drivers I think you want to talk about, I'm kind of going to do the rest of these guys in groups of teams. That is Hamlin at 8,800 and Truex at 9,700. These two guys specifically are two of the best at getting their cars dialed in on the fly. They are both way too cheap, and they're historically good here. Hamlin won the last race here, and I mean, guys, these two guys seem to be able to adjust their cars on the fly. Rowdy doesn't, and I'll talk about the Jones play here in a little bit. I like all of those plays. I think they're legit plays that you can make this week. Moving on to Team Penske, these guys are on a tear, and I think it has to do with their ability to make these adjustments on the fly. Like I've been saying, these Team Penske cars have been fast and look good. If we're breaking down the actual result, Logano looks to be the weakest of the three Penske drivers adjusting on the fly. Blaney's probably the best, and Kez is Kez. He's a traditional dominator that usually finishes at the top. He's having a good run during these no practice in race adjustment sort of scenarios. I kind of like him for this race today. Yeah, if I was to fade a Team Penske guy off the draw, it would be Joey Logano. The next group of drivers that we need to talk about in that dominator category is Hendrick Motorsports. The two that seem to have the ability to run with no practice are Chase and Billy. Bowman and Jimmy, not so much. Recent finishes in track history are best indicators here, and when you look at the recent history of where those two cars constantly finish in Bowman and Jimmy, it's just not getting done what you need to do to win lineups and win contests. I think it's an easy fade. So guys, those are all the guys that I have listed out to be potential dominators. As per usual, most of the values in play, but it's mostly guesswork. I clearly wouldn't stray below McDowell this week at 5,500, but I know you guys out there love names, so I'm going to give you the names that are in my player pool this week, and I'm sure there are guys that are outside of my player pool, but these are guys that I've been looking at and doing research on that I'm contemplating putting in my lineups. So the guys I like are guys like Jones, Billy Byron, Bubba, Matty DiBenedetto, Ty Dillon, Buescher, Custer, Priest. These are all the guys that, in my humble opinion, are in play and value. You could take plays like Reddick, where he's starting 15th or 16th and has to basically gain a couple positions to finish there. I usually love the Reddick play, but because of his high finishes, he's starting too high up. Guys, this is the core value guys I'm looking at. There are other guys in play. They're more risky. I think these are the better value plays. With that said, guys, I think that wraps it up. Remember, as always, to join the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy League. It's absolutely free. The link will be on the video. And Andy has done a great job and has posted a second contest for Sunday's race. So remember, there's two races. And guys, if you haven't been a part of the league thus far, there's a way to get in the league. It's absolutely free. You can play, and you still have plenty of opportunity to gain enough points to make the playoffs and compete against the reigning world champion and several live qualifiers and several of fantasy's best at NASCAR for absolutely free. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks for tuning in and watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment on the video. Have a good one, guys, and hopefully we'll have Lear back for the next race. Have a good one.